before. All right. Hello, everybody. So we are now double streaming on the Blackboard site for the University of Westminster, and we are also streaming on YouTube. So, hey, me on being the master of technology. Now, the one thing that I had to do, however, I had to mute the people that are talking through the Blackboard site because otherwise you get like this kind of weird microphone sounds and the whole thing falls apart. So if everybody would like to say hi, please use the chat function instead of using your mic. The chat function is on the left hand side, both on YouTube and on the Blackboard thing. So can everybody just stick a hi or click the like button or do something like this on either platform, so I know that you guys are still connected and you can hear me okay? Awesome. I've got some people saying hi. Hi, guys. Right. I'm always very worried about the quality of the audio for some reason. The problem is that when you're streaming this, you don't actually know whether the people can hear you okay or not. I mean, you can see the video of yourself, but the feedback from the audio is normally not as good. Now, we have great attendance. So welcome everybody and good morning. And it is terrific to see all of you there. I've got something like 3 people on the YouTube stream and about 16, 17 people on the Blackboard stream, which is fantastic. And unfortunately, I didn't know how to set up the computer. So I've got one screen right in front of me for YouTube and another screen right in front of me for Blackboard. Maybe I should be looking kind of straight here in the middle so it looks like I'm looking at both of you at the same time. Okay, so we have here our first day of term and our first day of classes. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to describe how company law, the module, operates for this term and actually for the entire year. Now, I'm hoping everybody here who is logged in is for company law, right? Is that the case? No. Give us like a thumbs up or say yes in the chat. So I know that you're company law students. At the same time, if you're on YouTube, could be anybody in here. So if you are not already one of my company law students at the University of Westminster and you would like to join in because you're watching this on YouTube, you can join us next year. So it's possible that we have some of the second year students looking forward to the final year. Okay, now, a few organizational things so we know what it is that we're doing. Like, do you all know who I am? Who knows who I am? No, nobody knows who I am. Stick it there in the chat if you know who I am. No, nobody knows what's happening here. So my name is Yanis, right? You don't know. My name is Yanis, and I am the module leader for company law at the University of Westminster. And this is a final year module that we are offering as an option to our students. So anybody who was looking for a 40 credit module, which means that this is a module that runs for the entire year and has chosen to take company law, is going to be dealing with me till the end of the year. Now, there is also a special option for the people who are taking this as a 20 credit version. This means people who are taking this just for one term. Let me get some light in here. There. Is that better? Oh, yeah, that's better. Do we have any students in here who are taking this just for one single term? I tried to give access to those people as well, but I'm not exactly sure it worked out for everybody. So if you're one of the students that are taking this for a single term, please let me know by putting something in the chat. Now, what is the module about? We are going to work together the entire year and figure out what companies are, how do you make one, what do you need to be careful with, and once you've set one up, we're going to see in some detail how it works and what are the consequences of this. After we've done this, we're going to look at how businesses operate on the inside, how can people actually manage to effectively run a business, who are the bosses, who are the owners, who makes money out of this, how it is possible to make money out of this, and crucially, how do you get into arguments? And if you get into arguments, how do you get out of them, and how do you resolve any potential issues that you might be having if you're running a company? Now, some of you in here might be also taking commercial law. Do we have any students in the room that are taking commercial law as one of their final year options? Yes. Now, if you are taking commercial law, you might be wondering, is this the same content as company or not? Well, lucky for you, it is not the same content. The key difference between company law and commercial law is that in company law, we're looking at the internal organization of business, what happens on the inside. In commercial law, you're mostly looking at the external organization of business. So how do businesses do deals with each other? How does a business operate? How does a company operate in an economy with its customers, with its suppliers, with other businesses that they're doing stuff with? So company is internally focused. Commercial law is externally focused. This is a very rough distinction, of course, but this is the key distinction between one and the other. Right. Now, let's spend a moment to talk a little bit about the content. We start off with some fundamental notions. These are stuff that you may have come across in the past if you took business law. Has anybody done business law before? We were offering business law as an option in the first year. So it's possible that some of you have already done this, right? Oh, we've got somebody there saying yes. Now, to be fair, I used to teach business law back some time ago. So if you guys took business law, it's possible that you have been subjected to my videos, right? Anybody watch when you did business law? Did anybody see my videos? Right? You remember me? No? Probably not. Okay. Now, we start off the term by talking about the fundamental notions of what a company is and what it's supposed to do, and what are the key consequences of this. For instance, we spent the first few weeks talking about the idea of separate corporate personality. We talk about the idea of limited liability. So what does this mean for the people who own the business? What does it mean for the people who are on the other side that are interacting with the business? We spend some time thinking about this, and then we move on to some of the practical issues. How do you actually set up a company? Now, I've set up one myself. Apart from being a teacher to you guys, I'm also a company director. So I've gone through this business myself. So I've seen it, how it works on the inside in a sort of contemporary sense. So hopefully we can discuss this in a more lively way. So if anybody's actually thinking of setting up a company and you want some kind of practical advice on how to do it and some kind of money-saving tips while you're at it, then I can help you with this. So if you are a budding entrepreneur and you want to know how to do this in real time, then this is definitely something that I can help you guys in the context of this class. So these are the things and the debates that are taking us pretty much up till the reading week in the middle of the term. And after the reading week, between that is going to be the end of October pretty much. So from the beginning of November all the way till the Christmas break, we start getting into some of the more inside stuff. What are the company's directors, the bosses? What are they supposed to do? How do they interact with the shareholders, who are the owners of the business? How does the board of directors, the governing body of the corporation, make decisions? How do the shareholders make decisions? How do they influence each other in running the business effectively? And then towards the end of the year, we start getting to the point that we learn how to deal with problems. What happens if the directors get into an argument with each other? What happens if the shareholders have arguments with each other? What happens if the directors want to do one thing and the shareholders want to do another thing? And how do we balance these things, and who's right and who's wrong? So this is the content that we cover with up until the point that we get to Christmas. Now, at that point, those of you who are taking this as a 20 credit option for one term only, this is where you leave us and you go and do something else with your lives. And those of you who are here for the year-long module, again, I'm guessing the majority of you are here for the year-long module. Say yes in the chat if you guys are here for the whole year. Let me just get an idea of who is here. All right. Most people are dropping in yeses. How about the people on YouTube? Nobody's putting in. Put something in the YouTube chat as well to say whether you're here for the whole year or whether you're here just for the term, just to check if you guys are still alive. The YouTube, the Blackboard crowd is very interactive. The YouTube crowd less so. All right. Okay, so when we start again after Christmas, we are going to then finish off all these discussions about what happens if you have an argument and when people fight with each other. And then we move on to some other stuff. The focus so far, up until, say, the end of January, is what happens with private corporations. So what happens with the standard mode of a business, which is the private limited company. So this is what we deal with till the end of January. After that, we can talk about things in a more broad fashion. So we start talking about public companies. What is a public company? Well, how does the stock market work? How do you get into the stock market? What are the consequences of having done this? And then what are the rules and regulations that govern this? That brings us up till the reading week, pretty much, in the second term. And then we're basically on the way down, going towards Easter when we finish with our classes. And then, because we've covered all the basics and we've done all the things that we basically wanted to do, we've got the time to look at things a little bit more broadly. So we talk a little bit about taxation. We talk about how corporations operate on an international level. So we talk a little bit about multinational corporations. And then at the end, we talk about some issues about ESG, corporate social responsibility, and all of that. So these are sort of issues of contemporary significance that are going to be useful for you guys as you're moving on. The majority of you are final year students. Okay, we've got a comment here on Blackboard saying that you cannot use the chat function on YouTube unless you're already logged in. That's from Charlie. Thank you for telling me about this. Actually, Charlie, I just think you need to log on. I don't think you need to have done anything more than that, but that's perfectly fine. I'm streaming on both channels to give people the opportunity to access it on a device of their choice. So if you prefer to be on YouTube, that's fair enough. If you prefer to be on Blackboard and use the chat function here, that's perfectly fine. Right, so I think I've covered the totality of what we're covering in the syllabus from when we're starting this week all the way up until the end of the year. Hopefully this is what you guys signed on for, and that's what you expected to hear. Is everybody happy with this stuff so far? You got a feel of what it is that we're doing and how we're doing it? Obviously, if you're logged into Blackboard, you can already access the syllabus, and you guys can kind of click your handbook, which has at the beginning like a breakdown of what we're doing every week. So this is the content of what we're doing. So thank you guys for kind of staying with me so far. Now, we move on to the question of how we are doing it. So how do we actually deliver this? Now, we are having this online get-together this morning. The reason for this is that I was not able to book a physical room. So I tried, but I think I tried a bit too late to find a room to kind of get all you guys together. And it seems that they're fully booked and I couldn't get us a physical room. It would have been more fun to actually do this face-to-face, but anyway, this is what happens. I think we're all quite used to the technology as well. So hopefully this is not too much trouble for you guys. Now, delivery. Lectures for this module are delivered online and they're all pre-recorded. So you're going to get like a wonderful view of me doing this, but it's not going to be a live broadcast. It's going to be pre-recorded. Now you can find all of that stuff already. Either you go through the YouTube channel and there's a playlist there that's got all the videos for the entire year, or you can click the links from your syllabus every week and you can already watch all of that stuff. Now, so in case anybody was expecting anything different, there are no live lectures for this module. All the lectures are pre-recorded. However, there is going to be live interaction because we're going to see each other in our seminars every Monday. Now, we have a fairly large student population in this module. I think we're in the region of like between 60 and 70 people. Depending on how you count the kind of transient students that come in just for one term. So we're going to have 2 seminar groups. Now, this is relatively new for this year because in previous years, we used to have a different kind of breakdown of classes. So this is a little bit new. In case you guys were expecting something else, I want you to be aware. We're going to have these seminars every Monday. The seminars are booked for 2 hours. Can you believe this? You're getting 2 hours of this stuff. Is that awesome or what? Do you guys think you can stay awake for a whole 2 hours talking company law? Yes? No? No? Yeah, I don't know. We'll try it out and see what happens, yeah? Because we have 2 hours and we're having 2 of these seminar sessions. If I remember correctly, one is from 12 till 2 and the other one's from 2 to 4, something like this, yeah? So check your online timetables for the one that you're on, and please try to attend the one that you're timetabled on. Otherwise, we get into all sorts of difficulties. All right, what we're gonna do during these 2-hour sessions, I'm going to start off the class by giving you guys a summary of the lecture. Now, I would prefer if everybody watched the videos first because the videos contain more detail. Yeah. But I will also do a sort of summary rerun at every seminar and also highlight anything that has happened since I recorded the lecture, anything that's new, anything that's in the press that kind of seems relevant or important for the topic of the day, so we can kind of link up the things that we're talking about with the reality outside the classroom, right? So we're going to do this for every seminar. Then we're going to go through a series of preset questions that have been communicated to you already, and we work through this tutorial material together. We can have a discussion about what's going on, and I can answer any questions or clarify any concepts. And we have enough time with these 2 hours, within these 2 hours, to talk about anything you guys want. So we can take advantage of the allocation that we have in order to do this properly and without having to rush and covering all the material. Now, if you guys are getting like bored to death and you don't want to stay for the 2 hours, then we can finish a little bit earlier. If everybody's kind of well engaged and interested, we can utilize the whole 2 hours. It's a little bit flexible. It's up to you guys. The aim is not, for me to amuse myself by talking. It's for us to interact and do whatever works best for you. These classes are going to be every Monday, right? So we're going to see each other every week. So the online class, this I think is worth mentioning, the online class that is pre-recorded is already in your timetable. This does not mean you have to actually watch the class at 10 o'clock every Monday morning. But because it is a class, it needed to be timetabled somehow. That's why you've got it there. But you can watch it whenever you want. You can watch it while you're cooking. You can watch it while, you're in bed. You can watch it on your phone. You can watch it on TV. You can watch it on the computer. You can watch it while you're sleeping. No, don't watch it while you're sleeping. All right? Okay, so that's the deal. A pre-recorded lecture for every week, and then a 2-hour seminar session for everybody. Okay, how are we doing so far? Is everybody getting this? Has anybody attempted to watch any of the pre-recorded lectures already? Yeah, you have. Do you like them? What do you think about them? If you like them, you can give them the thumbs up. If you don't like them, you can give them the thumbs down while you're watching them. So I've got like an instant slap in the face. Well, look, I mean, they could be better, but they could be a lot worse. So the idea was to take the content that I had available for you guys and package it in a way that tells you what you need to know in a concise fashion without interruptions and delays and things like that. So to deliver the core content of what you need to know in a video that is mostly watchable. What I did not want to do is to give you guys a whole stack of um panopto recordings that in class capture stuff that are like gone for hours and they're very, very difficult to watch. Now, in case you're thinking the recording is just 30 minutes, 35 minutes, is not the whole hour. Oh my God, I wanted like a whole hour of pre-recorded lecture. If that's what you wanted, because you're some kind of masochist or something, I do have also a podcast for every week that is the entire recording. So if you don't want the edited version, but you want to kind of self-harm by listening to the whole hour recording, then you can also do this. But up to you guys. But I would prefer to watch the edited video rather than to watch the hour-long audio. Now, what are you going to find on the Blackboard site? This is the virtual learning environment that the university uses to convey information to the students. And some of you already know about this because you are logged on through Blackboard into this communal room we're having at the moment. Now, to make things as easy as possible, I have made a folder for every week. So you're going to have a folder on your Blackboard site for every week. And within that folder, you're going to find a bunch of stuff. I know it's gonna be shocking the amount of things that I make available for you guys. So what you have a link to the pre-recorded lecture. You have a link to the audio file as well that produced that lecture. You have a set of lecture notes. You have a tutorial sheet that's got the exercises that you meant to prepare for that week. You got an additional questions or things to do that link up to extra things that we can do for the seminar. And you've got links to reading and things that you should access from your textbook. Now, if this sounds like a lot of stuff, you are not meant to do all of that stuff together. You are meant to pick the one that you like. So the stuff that are obligatory are some engagement with the topic of the week in advance. How do you achieve that engagement? You either watch my lecture or listen to the audio recording or read the lecture notes or read the indicated bit from your textbook. Okay? So there are 4 different ways of getting to the same content. You don't need to do all of these 4 things. You can choose what to do. You're a visual type and you like you like to watch me do this, watch the video. You're the audio type that just wants to hear the stuff while you're cooking pasta, listen to the audio. You just don't want to watch or listen to stuff and you want to read, just read my lecture notes. You think my lecture notes are a bit crappy and you prefer to read something properly written, then read the textbook, right? 4 different avenues to achieve the same outcome. What do you think? Let's do a little poll in here. Who is the visual type and who is the reading type? So write in the chat, I prefer to read or I prefer to watch, just for me to get an idea of what's going on. Okay, so it seems that from what people are putting in the chat, we seem to be kind of 50-50 in there, which is perfectly fine. Look, guys, what I want from you is that you have a look at the topic of the week in advance of the class. So when you come to the seminar, you know what it is that we're going to talk about. So you have some familiarity with the content that I cover in the lecture, and you have had a look at the questions that I prepare for you guys for the tutorial. Now, whether you do this by watching the video, listening to the podcast, reading the material, or reading the textbook, it does not really matter. What matters is that we are all on top of the learning material for that class. So I don't want you to freak out and think there are so many things to do. How can he possibly expect us to do all of these things together? You are not meant to do all these things together. And if you, I mean, we've got quite a few people here already. I think we've got pretty much half the class spread between YouTube and the Blackboard site, but there's also like another half of the class that is not currently present. If anybody that you meet is worried about this, tell them to watch that video, because I'm recording the live stream and I'm going to make it available for people to watch afterwards. So send them back to the link of the live stream so everybody can watch this presentation, so they don't get themselves freaked out. The idea was not to overburden you guys with material, because I know this is your final year, you've got other things to do. Yeah. It's to give you 4 different avenues at approaching the same content, to make sure that we find something that works with the time you have available, how you prefer to study, and all of that stuff. Okay, so we're not trying to force everybody into one particular pathway to know this material, but we're leaving it open to how people want to approach this. So what do you think? You guys happy with this stuff? Yeah. We have a question from somebody in the chat. It says, so long as we pick one material that is convenient for us, is that okay? Yes, that is okay. Just be mindful that when it comes to preparing assessments and things like this, you might need to kind of revisit stuff from the textbook. The textbook is better than I am, okay? So my lecture notes are a summary of the information that I think is important, but the good stuff is in the textbook. Therefore, when you're preparing for an assessment, I think it would be safer if you work from the textbook. But for your weekly understanding and your weekly engagement, just pick one from the 4 available avenues to get through to this material. Yeah, no, all the material cover the same information, because I direct you to a particular, I mean, they don't use exactly the same words, but they talk about the same things. For instance, if we pick a class that says, what is the meaning of separate corporate personality and limited liability? So this is in response to a question from the chat that says, do all materials have the same information, or is there different information in each? All the material talk about the same thing. If our topic for the day was limited liability, then I'm going to talk about this in the pre-recorded class, in the podcast, in my lecture notes, and I'm going to indicate the chapter from the book where it talks about these things. But because the book is better than me in terms of the detail of the substantive content, the book is better to refer back to, or to check if there is something that you don't understand from my personal delivery. Now, of course, since we're meeting in our seminars on a weekly basis, we're going to have the opportunity to discuss this live. So if there are concepts that you don't understand, if there are issues that you've got with things, then we are going to be able to talk about this in real time when we're there together. All right. If you do have any other questions, please stick them in the chat as we're going along, and I'll answer them. But hopefully this makes sense to you guys, and this offers you like a sort of balance of delivery that can actually work for everybody, depending on what everybody is trying to do, right? So are you happy with this stuff so far? Are you? Yes. That's it. Give us a thumbs up. How about the people on YouTube? Go give us a thumbs up. What are you guys doing there? I'm getting a lot of interaction on Blackboard, but not a lot of interaction on YouTube. People are afraid to press the buttons over there. All right, guys, awesome. Now, would you like to know about assessment methods, assessment technique, what you need to do for exams and all of that stuff? Is that something you're interested in? Ah, is this the only thing you're interested in? Because sometimes students are, there we go. Maybe some of you are only interested in assessments and exams. I know that it happens. I mean, you need to remember that this is a final year module, and this makes a significant contribution to your final degree classification. So people can legitimately be a little bit anxious about exams and coursework and all of that stuff. All right, now, the way this module is assessed specifically at the University of Westminster, you are going to have a piece of coursework to be submitted in January. This piece of coursework is worth, what is it? I think it's worth 40% of your final mark. And it's going to contain elements of both a problem question and an essay question. So it combines a practical scenario and then some more theoretical discussion about what's going on. Now, the format of it, you're going to see a little bit later on. We release that question after the reading week. So you're going to have plenty of time to do it. Its submission date is going to be somewhere around the 10th of January. We haven't quite nailed down the dates yet, but this is what we're aiming for. So traditional coursework containing elements of a scenario-based problem question type assessment and an essay question. Is this going to be the thing that you can use ChatGPT to produce? Hopefully not. Well, you never know. It's getting better. Maybe it will have gotten to the point by January that we'll be able to do absolutely everything. But the aim is, I'm a big fan of technology, right? If you go through my YouTube channel, and you're going to find a lot of links to how to use AI, how to use ChatGPT, what it can do for study. I even ran an experiment. You guys should go watch this. If you're on the YouTube stream, I'm going to put the link down in the description that you can click and watch afterwards. I ran an experiment of whether ChatGPT could pass a law exam, and guess what? It did actually pass the law exam, and that was some time ago. So I'm pretty sure now not only it would pass, but it would get a distinction level grade. But hey, that's something to worry about later on. In terms of your coursework, you're going to have this question that combines these dual elements, and it's going to be 40% of your grade, and it's going to be due, I think, around the 10th of January 2024. Now, that's 40%. What happens towards the end? Now, who in here is aiming to attempt to qualify as a solicitor after finishing their degree? Let's have a quick show of hands. Do we have anybody here in our dual streams that attempts to become a solicitor? All right, a few people. Now, you guys still have the choice between the LPC and the SQE. Now, if you are fuzzy on the details or you need some help choosing, again, I've got some videos on this. I can put the link down in the description on the YouTube video so you can follow this up. If you choose to take the SQE, I think you can still do the LPC. Anybody? I've got this question in the chat. Can we still do the LPC? If we're dealing with mostly third-year students, it means you began your degree in the year 2020-21, which means that the LPC is still an option for you. I do not recommend it for the reasons you're going to see in my video, but it's still an option for this cohort of students. However, if you choose to do the SQE, which is my recommendation, you're going to have to sit through a whole bunch of multiple choice tests, which is not very pleasant. Now, in order to prepare you guys for this experience, the final exam for this module is a multiple choice test approximating the style of the SQE. The reason why I'm saying approximating is because it's easier, right? Because unfortunately, and I'm helping quite a lot of law graduates with the SQE at the moment, and they have my sympathies for the ordeal that they're going through. The questions of the SQE are very, very difficult. I actually run a weekly newsletter where I send SQE questions out to people that are trying to prepare for this. The questions for those are much more difficult than the questions that we will attempt in our final year examination. But for our purposes here in the context of company law at the University of Westminster, our final examination, which is worth 55% of your mark, is going to be a multiple choice test. Now, I will let you in on a little secret. Our multiple choice test is marked out of 100, which means that even if you don't get all the questions right, you can still hit comfortably above 80% in that multiple choice test. So what this means for your transcript is that you nail an 80% as a mark in something that has a big component of your final grade in the module. This is why the vast majority of students in company law last year and the year before, when we attempted this, they got a first class as their classification, because anybody who did fairly well in the coursework, something in the region of a 2-1, and then nailed a high first due to the multiple choice test, they had an overall result of a first in company law. So if you chose the module for this reason, then your guys are in for a treat. So this is the best performing module at level 6, which is the final year module. Right. Now, all the details about the multiple choice test are going to be released well in time, but it's a limited time test. You got about 2 minutes per question, so you need to be kind of fairly quick. You kind of clicky. It's got 45 questions, so it's a 90-minute test. It's got 45 questions, so you need to go through it fairly quickly. It approximates the style of the SQE, but as I said, it's a little bit easier than this. And it's going to be centrally timetabled in May with your final exams. So there's more detail about this in your module handbook, and there's going to be a lot more detail that I'm going to release as we're going through it. Now, you guys are also going to get a lot of options for this. There is a formative multiple choice test that's really simple, just to get you in the idea during the reading week. We're going to have a more proper one that looks exactly like your final year test for you to try during the reading week in the second term. And we keep talking about this thing and the style of these questions as we're going through it. So you're going to get these assessments: coursework 40%, multiple choice test 55%, as we're working through it, but you're also going to have plenty of formative opportunities to test yourselves and get into the mentality of how this works, both for the coursework and for the multiple choice test. So if you got questions about this, is perfectly fine, but don't obsess about this at the moment. We're going to have plenty of opportunity to talk about it. Now, does anybody know where the remaining 5% of your mark is going to come from? Because I said 40% for the coursework, 5% for the multiple choice test. Where's the rest of it? Yes, Sarah is the winner in the chat. She says synoptic. If you guys don't know what this is going to be the fancy assessment that we've got at the University of Westminster in the final year, which is called the My Graduate Journey Project, where you guys do something artistic and we reward you with a high mark, which then comes and contributes 5% to your overall grade. So that produces a very nice package, which has most of my students coming out of company law with a first class result, which contributes really nicely to their final degree classification, which is one of the reasons why I'm so hugely popular in this law school. So the synoptic assessment sticks 5% contribution to each of the modules that the final year students are taking. So you're going to have the opportunity to learn a lot more about this in a variety of sessions that are going to be delivered by my colleagues over the next few weeks. So I think we've had the opportunity to discuss so far who I am. Hello again. Uh, what this module is about, what we're going to cover in the first and the second term, what our assessment is going to be like, and what the mode of delivery of the module is like through our pre-recorded lectures and these seminars. And I've also explained what you are going to find in the Blackboard site, which is the university's virtual learning environment, as you're going through it. So I think I covered the totality of the super interesting things that I wanted to talk about. But what about you guys? So feel free to stick a question in the chat, and I will be able to respond to you to resolve any issues. Now, obviously, we're not starting with the seminars this week. I hope everybody knows this. So this week, we're starting with this kind of live online session, and we're going to start our seminars proper from next Monday. So hopefully everybody knew about this. Do we have any questions about all this? Now, exam feedback. This is a good question here. So, do we give exam feedback? Well, yes, in a variety of ways. For the coursework that you're going to submit in January, you get individualized feedback. So, I'm gonna mark all your papers, or ChatGPT is gonna mark all your papers, depending on what you think. All right? No, I'm gonna mark them. I'm going to mark all your papers, and then I'm going to return feedback personally to everybody on each paper. So you got this. As regards the exam, because we don't release the questions themselves, but I'm going to give some generic feedback on what the answers should be and how they link to the knowledge content relevant to the questions that we had that year. So you're going to get your mark for the multiple choice test, yes, and you're going to get a set of feedback that explains what happened and how you could have prepared. You're gonna get that as well, but you're not going to have the kind of marked. I mean, you're gonna have the mark for the multiple choice test, but you're not going to have your personal breakdown on what you did right and what you did wrong for every question. But I'm going to give you enough information for you guys to get a good feel, and there is additional sessions and additional information to anybody who, God forbid, fails the exam. There's a lot of support in place if anybody fails the original exam and they need to retake it. So I wouldn't worry about that one. Now, all the lecture recordings are on the YouTube site already. So you can go and watch all the lecture recordings already. Now, as regards the weekly breakdown in the folders for every week, I am updating those as we go to make sure that they're fresh for you guys. So I'm going to be releasing those slowly, not all in one go. However, all the pre-recorded lectures are already available. The way that you can access them is if you go through your handbook. It's got like a weekly syllabus, and the titles are all clickable and they take you to the video. Alternatively, you can go through the YouTube channel. There's a playlist about this, so you can see all the relevant lectures there already. So the recording for this week is what we're doing today. Yeah. So there is no separate introductory recording for this week, but this is being recorded at the moment through the YouTube stream. So that's going to be available for you guys to watch. I'll put the link up for anybody who's not currently here. I'm going to put the link up on Blackboard as well, so you can click on it. But the first substantive lecture is the one that we're starting with next week. All right, so that was a question that we had in the chat. So hopefully this is relevant information for everybody. So how are you guys feeling? Are you feeling pumped to be starting your final year? Or not? You all exhausted already? Yes, should be pumped. It's going to be fun. And you know, we haven't had the 2-hour tutorials. We had 1-hour tutorials before. Now is the first year that we're doing the 2-hour seminars. But I think this is going to be fun because we can be chill, you know. We don't have the clock chasing after us. So we can take as much time we need to do the stuff that we want to do. Now, clearly, it would be great if you guys turn up every week. So the more students we have, the more fun the whole experience is. But I mean, I understand that on occasion it's not possible to attend every single class, and there are other things going in your lives. But if you try and make a pattern for yourselves, and I'm gonna give you this is like a good tip. What I always tell people is that law school is not difficult, right? Studying law subjects is not difficult. It only becomes difficult if you need to do stuff in a hurry. If you have a constant level of engagement, which means a constant and low level of engagement, you're going to manage just fine. So you can go and study a little bit every week, and you keep on top of the weekly topic. And that's it. It's not thousands of hours, right? You can pretty much spend a couple of hours every week in prep for the company law class, and you're going to be fine. Then you're going to be able to do a little bit of revision when it comes to getting to your coursework, when it comes to preparing for your exam, and it's all going to be nice and manageable. Where it becomes difficult and time consuming is if you don't do this on a weekly basis, and you skip a lot of things, and you skip a lot of classes. And then in a short period of time, you need to understand and incorporate a great deal of material. This is when the intensity increases and the amount of time you need to devote to it increases. So what I would recommend is a constant but low level of engagement. That way you can keep on top of things, and at no point does it become overwhelming. And I can assist you with this by helping you guys in dealing with you while we are all in class together. So if we manage to do this when we're all together, the whole thing is going to be a lot nicer and a lot easier. So if you can do a little bit of work every week, if you turn up for our seminars every week, then I think we're going to have a chill year, and everything is going to be fine, and everybody is going to come up with like a first class in company law, and it's going to be a good experience for everybody. Right. So do you guys have got any other questions? Because I've been going on for so long, I think I need to get myself a coffee now. So so this is what we're going to do. If you got any additional questions about this, either we can talk about them when we meet together next week, or I can open a discussion forum on the Blackboard site that you can put them there, or you can put a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can put a comment down. If it's something of general significance, put a comment under the video on YouTube, and I can pick it up from there. All right, guys. So is everybody gonna be there next week so we get to do this live? We can do this in the same room, which probably involves less yelling or more yelling. So yeah, that's it. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for turning up. The recording of this is going to be available, so you can watch it again if you want. It's been lovely seeing you here. Thank you for all the comments. Hit the like button when you find us to tell us how much you're loving this, and I'll see everybody next week. All right? Thank you. Goodbye.